Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zwift Community Lab broadcast of the virtual Grand Tour by Dig Deep Coaching. We're on stage number 12, and today we're replicating the efforts from the Alpe d'Huez, heading on over toward the Alpe de Zwift. I'm joined by coach from Dig Deep Coaching, Stephen Gallagher, coming at us from Ireland. I want to welcome to the program and have a little chat about what is this virtual Grand Tour all about before the riders do jump out on course. I want to welcome as well all the Zwifters out there. If you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, you can go ahead and comment on the post or interact with us directly on Twitter by tweeting at Z Community Live, and we'll be able to bring your questions or comments, chat about the Tour de France into here in order to interact with us directly. Stephen, quite the stage today. It's been pretty intense, and I think there's a pretty intense workout up for grabs for the riders here.
Yeah. Real exciting day today in the Tour de France. Was certainly, especially that last 5 kilometers, it was an exciting day. It was a hard day, a bit like what we're about to encounter now as well. So a bit of a solid ride, not much rest today. Very different, probably again, to what we have been doing. For those people who have been with us for the last 12 stages, again, it's quite a different workout compared to certainly last week, where very intensive. Obviously, we'll get into the details of that later on. But I mean, it certainly was an exciting day today. So yeah.
So let's go ahead, and for those that might not have been tuning in, we've been doing all of these on Zwift Community Live's spaces, and today we are on Zwift's Facebook page. Some of you tuning in might not be familiar with what the virtual Grand Tour is all about. What is taking place here throughout the entirety of the Tour de France with the virtual Grand Tour out on Zwift?
So what we've been doing is we've been trying to replicate the intensities and specific parts of each stage during stages of the Tour de France. So about a month ago, I sat down with a lot of other coaches, and we sort of went through a lot of the stages. With our experience of delving into data, we work closely with a lot of publications, a lot of teams as well, trying to deliver their data and analysing it. So we tried to take that knowledge and experience of certain stages and how certain stages are normally raced out, and we've put that into workouts. And not only have we looked at the strategic parts of each stage, but we've also looked at personas. So we're looking at a persona of each individual per day. So sometimes you might be the guy in the early break, sometimes you might be the guy going for the sprint, or the climber, or the GC rider. And anybody who watches a tour knows that, depending on your role, it changes the outlook of the ride, and it changes very much your performance and the energy expenditure that you're doing. So we have, used them two things to build into the workouts. And so each day is very different. Your intensities is very different. It's mixing it up as well, sort of for anybody who has been, and there has been quite a few people joining us over the 12 stages. And it allows people to probably appreciate a wee bit the how would I say, the dynamics of the tour. It's all right watching it. Everybody understands that it's a hard race, but of course we're trying to put this into a 1 hour workout, or a 45-minute to 1.25 hours. So so that's what we've been doing.
That is something, Stephen, that we want to chat to a little bit, is that we're trying to replicate the crucial moments of the stage, the critical moments of the stage on the day. So today for the Alpe de Zwift, or Alpe d'Huez, obviously heading toward the Alpe de Zwift, I believe, for the day. What have we done in order to try and replicate that kind of effort?
Okay, well, today it's actually, like I said at the start, it's quite a different workout compared to what we have been doing. A wee bit similar to yesterday in the sense that we've just taken one final block of a stage, which is we're simulating the Alpe d'Huez in one sort of shot, and replicating the time that I've taken from a particular rider that I looked at on Strava, who was second on Strava before today. I don't know if it was broken today, but that was Laurens ten Dam in the Tour de France in 2015. So what I did was I looked at his time. I looked at his particular way that he was able to intensify the climb and breaking it down into sections. And you know, again, we've made it. He done it in 40 minutes, 30 seconds. Again, according to Strava. And so what I've done is I've you know, looked at how he rode that stage. And you'll see here today it was a wee bit top heavy at the start. Obviously, there's no downhills, no Alpe d'Huez, there's no let up, you know, there's no rest. So that's a lot different to before. So we don't have the real high intensity. We don't have the real, you know, going into our VO2 or into our anaerobic. But what we have today is a long sustained effort, you know. So like I say, I've taken that, it's broken down into, you know, 10, 11-minute chunks. I don't think Lawrence Ten-Dam was thinking too much about, you know, putting his effort into intervals on that day. But subsequently, there was quite a decrease of effort over that, you know, over the time that he done it. Obviously, he had done probably 150 Ks before hitting that climb. You know, we're just hitting it from the bottom. But so yeah, that's how this worked.
Speaking of the specific stage on the day, obviously, so in the replication of the stage for today, we're not doing the entirety of it. And this was the stage that the riders went over for the day today. We are just trying to do a replication of Lawrence Ten-Dam. Well, we aren't. The riders are that are in the workout mode that we're doing the live coaching on. But the riders are going to be just doing Alpe d'Huez, obviously not replicating the entirety of the course. But pretty cool that you were able to take the riders' data from actual Pro Tour stage and then go ahead and replicate that into the game, and people are able to then, based on their own FTP, do something similar in effort to what those riders did over, or what Lawrence Ten-Dam did up and over the top in 2015. So really cool concept here. You can actually, we've been doing every single stage, and you can actually join in with us throughout the rest of the stages with Dig Deep Coaching. Over at digdeepcoaching.com, you can also sign up for a newsletter that will give you the past workouts. So essentially, Dig Deep Coaching has provided 21 stages of the Tour de France critical moments for free coaching throughout this month. Really cool project here to see how you can interact with other riders throughout the workout, do it with other riders in workout mode, and get this feeling of what pro riders are experiencing based on your fitness level. Pretty cool concept that workout mode can bring to you. For you guys, you guys and gals out there who are unfamiliar with workout mode, it actually changes the wattage that you are doing based on your FTP, right? So for me, my FTP right about now is about 300 watts. So I'm not replicating the wattage that Lawrence Ten-Dam did in 2015. I'm replicating the percentage of FTP that he did that year if I was out here riding this right now. So on the left-hand side, the wattage that you see are the wattages that are based on mine. Now, if I were looking at Holly's screen at this point, or I were looking at Adrian Timmis's screen at this point, probably a rider who's done Alpe d'Huez quite a few times, I would think. Adrian Timmis, an ex-Tour de France pro rider, Pro Tour rider, actually out here doing this workout with us right now. But if we were looking at their screen, we would see exactly what their percentage of FTP is for the workout. So let's go ahead and chat a little bit about what we are seeing on during the tour today. Like what, let's talk about what the crucial moments we thought were today. We're getting a little bit of chatter coming through here. It looks like Rusty Fisher saying hello. Chris Bayless also saying that he's actually riding today. If you would like to interact with the broadcast, make sure to go ahead and do so like we see Chris Bayless did here. We'd love to have chatter throughout the entirety of the virtual Grand Tour so far. We've been doing lots of race predictions. At the end, during the cool down, we'll do race predictions about what we think are going to happen during tomorrow's stage. And we also have a lot of banter about what people think is going to be happening for their favorites in the races, GC contention, that kind of stuff. So make sure to bring all your questions and comments on in. This is the way you can do it. You can either chat with us over at Mixer.com in the chat over there. I'm watching that chat. I'm also watching the Facebook and Twitter. We can bring your interaction right on in. So we also have data analysis. As soon as we possibly can, we get it from the day. But
That's what I'm
it's
doing now.
like how cool. Oh, and Steven says he has some that's coming in like as it comes in from the riders. He has direct access actually to a few riders that are riding in the tour thanks to Training Peaks, and he's able to bring that data directly in. We do have data from a few of the past stages, yesterday's stage and the stage before, actually full analysis of what went down with a few of those riders in the Tour de France, and we can go over some of that so you guys can get some idea of what kind of efforts are going on from the pros.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit what we do, and we obviously do a lot of work with different publications, working on data analysis and trying to bring a story about the data into the mainstream and letting people understand more about the efforts that these phenomenal athletes are doing. Again, it's very difficult to understand just when you're watching it, just how difficult they are. But thanks to modern technology, thanks to power meters in particular, that we can all now understand, relative to ourselves, basically what that sort of effort is compared to us. And it's exactly in the sense of watts per kilo. Again, we can refer to power isn't the only thing, it's the weight and the power combined, but also percentage of FTP. And the beauty, what we have here in Zwift is that, we can ride an effort of, like we're doing today, percentage of FTP. So we can hurt as much as what, some other guys are that are fitter, but it's to your own level. But what we do as well is trying to bring and break down that information as much as possible from particular stages, different races. We obviously work at the minute a lot with Training Peaks. During the Tour de France, we're analysing data every day. Obviously, today was a big stage. So, anybody who hasn't seen our analysis, go over to trainingpeaks.com and there's /Tour de France, and there's lots of our content and information that we've been doing. And as you've just said, Nathan, the stage isn't long finished. I got a message from a couple of the team members saying that they were taking a while to get to their hotel, which is the reason that some of the data wasn't being uploaded. But I'm literally just in the process actually of sending you over a wee bit of information, snapshots from the hopefully the Mitchell and Scott team. So
sweet, awesome, looking forward to that for sure. But let's talk about so the workout's on its way. We did this warm up. This seems to be the bread and butter warm up for Dig Deep Coaching. 360 watts for me. I think that's about 115%. No, maybe 120% FTP. Yeah, but really high cadence is the idea there. It looks like with a little rest in between. Just getting the blood moving has been the point of that. For the warm up. So now we're heading into the climb proper. It looks like for the Alpe d'Huez. Let's chat a little bit about, before we get into that rider data analysis, look at some of the stuff that you guys have done in conjunction with Training Peaks for analyzing each stage of the tour. Let's actually look at the climb itself and relate it to the intervals that these riders are going to be doing. So here's the gradients of the Alpe d'Huez. We are getting into that first 10 minutes. It looks like it's a little bit over FTP. So why am I at 305 watts? It looks like, I don't know, like not even like a 1% or 2% over FTP kind of a thing. Yeah. What's the idea here about why I'm at that kind of an effort, and how does it relate to what we're looking at here?
So as you'll have probably seen, we've cut it down into 10-minute blocks and 11-minute blocks, and also our cadence. I've been quite specific in the cadence being around 7 to 8. Again, a lot of this is down to that specific workout that specific effort that Laurens ten Dam has done in the past. So, I'm trying to replicate that as much as possible. But what is interesting, we can relate it to today on our workout, but we can relate it as well to a lot of the data that we see during the Tour de France, is how top heavy these long climbs are. And by that, I mean that the bottom of them are a lot of times the hardest. And basically, they get to a certain limit, and then we're trying to hold on as it goes. We seen it 2 days ago on the Col de Rome, Mikel Nieve, where he was about there was about a 10-12% decrease in his power from the bottom to the top. A lot of times that's strategic. Certainly, you'll see riders hitting the bottom of the climbs, quite hard. Also, there's guys that maybe take a long time to get the rhythm into a climb. So you've got some guys that potentially they know that, and they want to make it hard at the bottom to actually put them in the red and a wee bit of difficulty, knowing that they're maybe not as good as what others are from hitting the bottom of the climb hard. Anybody who has done these sorts of long climbs, and even anybody who's of course done it here on Zwift, these long sustained efforts, you can go in and good of bad patches in the space of 40 minutes. I mean, I can guarantee today there's a lot of people here will be in a good place and a bad place and a good place within this 40 minutes.
Yeah, back and forth.
And that doesn't necessarily mean when you're going harder or going easier. Some people feel really good when they're, when they're actually at their limit a wee bit more, and maybe, when it's backing off, they're just not, the sensations aren't there. So, so what we've done is we've replicated that, and we've, given that a bit top heavy at the start, and gradually as we're going down. So if you look at that, that first 20 minutes, we've taken that 10 minutes, about 103%, 104% of your FTP. In the next 10 minutes is just below that, about 97. In the next 10 minutes below that, I think we're down to about 94, 95. I mean, that's a big threshold workout. And the actual characteristics of doing it heavy at the start is quite different to, doing a long sustained effort. A lot of people in training, whenever they're doing it in a training session, a lot of people always do it, try and flatline that effort, which obviously has benefits. But whenever you put it into a real situation of a competitive event, be it here on Zwift doing the races, or being, out on them sort of climbs, it's a lot of times it's top heavy. So, okay, your FTP is quite good, but trying to go over it a wee bit at the start, and how your body utilizes lactate, how the body actually responds to going a little bit hard over the top, is really interesting. So sometimes people with a lower FTP can actually go faster for these prolonged efforts because they've gone a little harder at the start, and their bodies are adapted to utilizing lactate a wee bit at the start. So that's what we're trying to do here today. Obviously, cadence is down. We've worked a lot on cadence. Anybody who's been with us in this last 12 days will know that, we do a lot of intervals. There's a lot of variances in intensity in the other stages. Anybody who wants to join us tomorrow or the next days, you'll certainly see a completely different type. But we have been doing
tomorrow and the next day is completely different from what we saw today.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, tomorrow's stage, this is looking at stage 13 into Valence there, a little bit flatter, obviously, than what we have going on with the Alpe d'Huez today. But, you were talking about top heavy up front, and you were speaking about Nieve and his efforts, I believe, yesterday. And you can see that. I believe this is his final climb that we're looking at here, and there's a little bit of kick up front, I believe. Is this the correct image that we're looking at here? 236 TSS on the day. You want to chat a little bit about this image that we're bringing in here from Nieve? And this is, wasn't he caught right at the line in this effort? Is this
he was
last 200 meters by Geraint Thomas?
Yeah, by Geraint Thomas. It was a phenomenal effort, and as much as I want to see Geraint Thomas doing well, I did feel extremely sorry for Mikel Nieve, who's actually been fantastic with sharing his data as well. So, fair play to Mikel Nieve as well, and certainly the Mitchell and Scott team for, being so open with their data and stuff. But yeah, this particular effort was his last climb. If we look at this last 44 minutes of a climb, he averaged 314 watts. He weighs 59 kilos. I haven't weighed 59 kilos since I was 14, but he weighs 59 kilos, and he was able to do 5.32 watts per kilo for that whole duration of the last climb. Now, he actually, anybody who watched it, you'll see that he dropped his the guys that were in the break with him, so he attacked them with about 9 kilometers to go. And there was a big effort. You can see that spike there where he went up to about 600 watts. We've done a peak power of 607
You want
watts.
to give us a little, some people, not everybody's a coach here that looks at Training Peaks data every single day. So what are the lines mean here? I think the crucial line that we're looking at here is the purple watts line that you're really talking about here.
Yeah. So obviously that gray background is obviously the gradient, and the gradient and the environment that they're racing. You can see it continually up, so you can see it's it's about, I think it was a 78% climb the whole way. Green is the speed. Speed in this sort of stage is pretty irrelevant. In the sense that it's pretty slow. It doesn't that doesn't give a factor of how hard they are. But the purple is really what we're looking at. So that's the power, and that's really how the particular effort that person's doing. Red is heart rate. And I think heart rate, unfortunately for me, what I've seen is that people are kind of ignoring it a wee bit now that power's taken over. Heart rate is so important. I mean, it's absolutely crucial for us as coaches. We obviously trying to analyze heart rate and trying to make sure that it's relative, and it's certainly a great benchmark to use towards fitness, combining heart rate and power. But obviously, power is on the purple line is really what we're looking at, because we can be very specific in that effort that he done at that particular time. Yellow is cadence. Again, it's quite important. We're working a wee bit in our cadence today. The guys are down to about 78 RPM. Again, replicating probably the cadences that Tindam did and what a lot of guys might have done today. But yeah, so that's particularly, you can see that spike where he went up to 600 watts in his attack. Now, bearing in mind, this guy had already done 3.5 hours at this stage. So he's then going into a long 44-minute climb. He attacks near the bottom. That last 9 kilometers he does at 325 watts, so just right on 5.5 watts per kilo. And in the last 7 minutes, where he's basically on his knees, anybody who watched it, you were almost riding the bike for him. You were willing him on so much. His power was going down. It's visual there in the graph. You can see his power starting to drop down, and he was going down to 314 watts in that last 7 minutes. So basically that last 2 or 3 kilometers, his power went down about 10 watts of what it was there in that part before.
Just hanging on, just trying to hang on
to
the end there. And very similar to what we saw with Stephen Kreisig today, I believe, toward the top of that climb. I mean, gone for so long today. Another heartbreak situation where somebody's in the break and trying to make it. He looked so strong until that final last quarter. It was like the last 1/4 of the climb, and boom, the lights went out. And you could see when it was just like there was just nothing left to kick any longer. So let's take a quick little look, though, here back at the workout that the riders are doing. We're at that 305 watts. We're getting that screen where it starts to go a little bit crazy because we're feeling the workout. It's simulating, starting to go cross-eyed. And we're going to drop down now to about a 97%. Again, we are simulating Laurens ten Dam's climb in 2015 up and over the top of the Alpe d'Huez based on the percentage of FTP that he actually did. This is the actual effort that he rode up and over the top of Alpe d'Huez, being simulated through workout mode out on Zwift with individuals from all over the world together. Now, changing up to that 97%. Let's see if we can get a couple of questions that coming through here. Actually, David Torello said a few minutes ago. Actually, we did miss a few of these interactions, and this is a interesting question. I'm not sure we have the answer to this. We could probably take a good guess, and Stephen, this might be a good opportunity as well for us to let us know why you would even know information like this. But who is the tallest rider in the Tour, do you think? I've got no clue. Is it Thomas? He looks like he might be. Does he got it?
He's pretty tall. Yeah, he's pretty tall, but he's certainly not. He's certainly not the tallest. I don't know. I know who probably the tallest person in the professional peloton is probably the Irish national champion Conor Dunn, who rides for Aqua Blue. Anybody who watches professional racing, he's not particularly in the Tour de France, but I think is he 6'8"?
Oh my goodness, that's insane.
Yeah, so
that's quite the draft.
I could be wrong.
That's
quite
the draft.
That is, so, or 6'7". Anyway, somebody's going to correct me on this, but he is extremely tall, and there's nobody taller than him in the professional peloton. As for the Tour de France, I'm not entirely sure, but if I was in the Tour, I would be wanting to find that person, and I would be wanting to sit behind him for long periods of time. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So another one coming through here. So I would love to try this. This is Rusty Fisher saying, would it be good training for mountain biking? That's a great question, actually. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, this particular stage today, maybe not so much. This particular stage, what we have done today is very much, more about your aerobic power, aerobic fitness, a little bit of your muscular ability, just with that sort of lower cadence. But if you've done, and we've spoken to a lot of the guys and girls that have been doing this over the last 12 stages, there's been a lot of workouts that are quite specific to, I suppose you could relate it to mountain biking, that, higher torque, quite explosive repetitions, You know, anybody who was with us on the stage to Quimper, where it was like a mini Ardennes day, certainly is quite a lot like a mountain bike race. That sort of torque and different intensities going along. And actually, for anybody who is looking the workouts on it, we do have a sign up that we're giving the workouts at the end of each week. They're sending out to people. And then we also have downloads. There's a race manual and gives details of the intensity of each day and whatnot. So we'll maybe put a link up later on. We might even put it down on the comments down below where you can sign up and you'll get all the workouts and you can pick which ones that you want to do in the future.
That actually answers another question that came through from Timothy here. Can I do this tonight? Is it available? So there is one per day. No, there's two per day, correct? There's one for the Australian market and then or users, and then there's one for the European US. And so very early my time, I think around like 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is I believe around 9 a.m. UK time, is going to be one of the workouts. And then obviously the one we're doing right now, which started at 12:45, usually right around that 12:45, 12:55, 6:45, 6:55, right in that area is when they're starting every day. And the weekends they are starting a little bit earlier in the day, so make sure to watch out on the Zwift Companion app. I've been signing up for them directly. Jump into the Zwift Companion app, and I just join every single one of them right off the bat, so you know when they're happening. But if you do miss any of them, you can go sign up over at digdeepcoaching.com and get the workouts sent to you directly, actually, so that you can catch up on them. Anybody who is completing all of the stages is actually getting 10 weeks of free coaching. Like anybody, we actually are seeing here, I think Holly and Locks are on the docket for that. They have been on every single one for sure, as far as I know.
I think they'll need a 10-week rest potentially after this, but
that's going to be the coaching. The coaching is just going to be you're just resting. My job is done.
You're just going to rest. You're gonna take it easy, but yeah, I mean, you know, anybody, if you go to digdeepcoaching.com/GT 2018, again, we'll put it down on the comments down below so you can click a link to it. So at the end of each week, we're emailing out the workouts that was completed for that week. We'll also get the workouts for last week as well if you haven't already signed up, and so you'll be able to use them and you know, be able to use them as you like. We also have really cool race manuals. We have survival guides just to assist with your recovery process and the helping you look after yourself for those crazy people that are doing it day after day. And we actually have we got a couple of emails in, you know, from people that are doing it in 2-day blocks. So, you know, doing 2 days back to back, taking 1 or 2 days off, another 2 days.
That's a good idea.
You know, helping to sort of ease it, you know, so they're using it quite strategically. And particularly if you get a race manual, you'll understand the intensity as well, the effort that is on each day. So, you know, you can sort of say, well, I want to do a threshold workout or I want to do a bit of anaerobic. Obviously, if you're a sprinter, you're going to be working a lot on your neuromuscular power, high cadence, low torque sort of stuff. So, you know, you can mix it up. And also you get to listen to us talk about the Tour de France and get our predictions wrong every day and laugh at us. So, yeah.
We were doing really well up front. I think we were like 85%, 90% correct up front. Then it just kind of fell apart in the last week. Like we were killing it. And then everything just kind of went out the window when we started to hit the mountains. I don't know if we've gotten one right in the last couple of days though. But another one coming through here. I think this one's a little bit tongue-in-cheek maybe, just a tad here with Robert Welch saying, did you invite Cavendish, Renshaw, and Kittel to climb the Alpe d'Huez today? I'm not sure they made it. Maybe I shouldn't have. That might be hitting a sensitive spot. You know, cheers to those guys. I don't think a lot of sprinters made it, actually. Gaviria, I saw Greipel, I saw Cavendish, I saw Kittel. I mean, what's going on with this year's tour? I've never seen, in all my years of watching the Tour de France, I've never seen so many sprinters drop out. That is a testament to how incredibly difficult things are this year.
It is. It is. You know, I said it right from the first couple of days whenever we looked at the route, and actually it was quite therapeutic whenever I was designing these stages a month ago, because you know, I spent a good part of a week looking at every stage and detailing every stage, and at that point I thought, whoa, this is really heavy.
Well, you've spent a lot of
the fact
time, so
that-
let's talk a little bit about that, like your experience with this area. Like what, what is your experience with this area, and how did you end up becoming a coach and with these high-end level pro cyclists?
Well, I used to race professionally myself for about 8 or 9 years. Feels like a lifetime ago now. But I particularly spent a lot of time in France as an amateur. So I lived in France for about 4 years, and then after that, I spent.
Did you try taking this climb on?
Years.
Didn't you like?
Yes, I've spent,
didn't something happen with this, you and this climb specifically?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't have a good relationship with Alpe d'Huez. Me and the Alp aren't probably the best of friends. So yeah, when I used to train a lot in the Alps, and living there for a period of time, we would spend a couple of weeks training camps or whatnot there. So anybody who knows the Alp and knows some of the fastest guys that ever went up it, I think the fastest time is Marco Pantani in 1997. He done it in 36 minutes, 37 minutes. And, at the time, I was obviously a big Pantani fan, and I was, racing in France. And I probably did weigh about 60 kilos at that stage. I'm 15 kilos heavier now. But, yeah, at that time it was. And I thought, well, okay, so what I tried to cut down. I didn't have a power meter at the time. I was like, well, how fast was that? So I was like, 2 minutes 40 a kilometer. Yeah, so I'll try that and see how long I go for. So I basically got to kilometer 2, and I had to kind of stop. And
2 kilometers in.
I think
Game
I got
over.
about 2 kilometers at that pace, 2.5 kilometers, and I was like, no chance. So I was just about 8 or 9 kilometers short. So that proved to me that, you know what, ride your own race, ride your own pace. So I just thought it was interesting to do. I was 20, 21, thought, yeah, what the heck, give it a go. But yeah, it certainly gave me appreciation to, again, how fast them guys go up it. So, but I do think my business partner, Dan Fleeman, who is also an ex-pro rider, he's raced and gone across, and he's actually won a lot of races in the high mountains, like the Tour of the Pyrenees and whatnot. So he's a lot of experience in this sort of terrain. And he messaged me today. We were talking about the Alp. We were watching the Tour, and he said that his fastest time was 42 minutes on it, I think.
Really?
So that was pretty
That's
quick.
a killer time.
Yeah, but that was a good time. But again, he obviously, going up long climbs and that sort of terrain was certainly his forte. But I think he was more happy in telling me that he had dropped Daniel Lloyd on it at the last 2 kilometers. So anybody who knows Dan, he's works on GCN. So he wasn't so happy about the time, but he said, I did drop Lloydie in the last 2 Ks. So that kind of that made it all good. So yeah,
We've liked he's been a pleasure to have in the broadcast. Actually, hope to get him in live, but he has had plenty of comments to bring in. And actually, he was the one bringing all the spot on predictions to the broadcast. Actually, I think he was 100% on his predictions for like the first 8 days or something like that. But we got Ad Kui coming in here saying, how would the watt distribution of Thomas look like today on the Alp? Flat or increasing from the bottom? I think Lawrence Tendam's effort from 2015 and what we're doing today, here in these intervals, replicating that is going to be very different from what we saw with that GC group going up and over the top of the Alp today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at how them, top GC guys performed, I think from my perspective, the ride of the day was, the young Colombian Bernal, who really did about 5 kilometers at the front of the group. If he pulled off early, basically it was down to, Thomas and Froome to take up the reins early, which they didn't want to do. Bernal really pulled out all the stops in that 6K. So for that bottom 6 kilometers, for that bottom half of the stage, I suspect that them guys are probably in around 6 watts per kilo. That's my probably 6 watts per kilo and quite sustained. So they were doing it, at a quite sustained level. Even when you seen the likes of Nibali attacking and that first attack from Bardet, their pace didn't really change. If it did, it was very incremental. It was very, very steady. So that wasn't a big acceleration. So I say the most they went up to was probably about 6.2 watts per kilo. But I reckon that bottom half of the mountain today was quite sustained. A wee bit like today, what we're doing at the bottom. After that, it went out the window. Again, it was a real big effort where Bardet attacked again. They had to chase. Basically the group exploded. Quintana attacked, then he went out the back, and that pace was going up and down quite a bit. So I say it was going from
toward the end,
5 watts per kilo to
exactly like stand. Toward the end it was this cat and mouse. I mean, it went explosive and then backed off so much that you saw riders come back like over and over. Landa came back, and then we saw Nibali, I think, almost came back. I mean, it was this like back and forth over and over, where they just started looking at each other like, who's going to go next? So it was most likely, like you said, a very steady pace halfway, and then that last 3K, I think all you saw was spikes and almost nothing, and spikes and almost nothing. It was one of the most exciting tour stages I've seen in a long time, and we're going to hold off on the spoilers today, I think, a little bit. I mean, we've said a lot so far. If you haven't seen what happened already, I'd be amazed, actually. But that would be those who are most likely just staying away from social media altogether at this point, because you can't touch the internet and not get an image, I think, at least at this point, of what happened on today's stage.
There's a few downsides to today, like with some of the issues with spectators and that sort of stuff. Just with certainly Nibali, who unfortunately had a crash, and it just
my heart went out to him at that point. It was one of those moments where you're like, come on, people, just get out of the way, please.
and it's part of the atmosphere as well. But but from what I heard, there was that he had a potential broken vertebrae. So
he's actually
he was
injured.
On his way to the hosptal.
He's
injured.
He's the stage. But he's actually injured on the way to the hospital. Where'd you hear that? Was that coming in on a news report?
It was, so it was in a news report, and I think, I think there was a bit in the Italian press, so they were hot off the press, and literally there was a live video basically of him getting into the ambulance and speaking to the Bahrain Merida doctor. So they were taking him to a hospital in Grenoble with a possible, I think it was, let me see, possible fractured vertebrae. So hopefully it's not, but regardless of that, it certainly must be.
So he's out, though, it sounds like. That sounds like
he finished the stage. He finished the stage, whatever it is, it's not going to be nice for him. It's not going to be easy for him. But but I think that was the only downside. But apart from that, it was a fantastic stage, really, really good. I think anybody who hasn't seen it, please go and watch it. It's and I think it's going to set it up for the next couple of days, and certainly going into the Pyrenees. It's going to be really, really exciting. So. Yeah.
We have a couple more files that you just sent in. It looks like some things just came in, actually, from, I believe this is from Hausen, that you were sending on over. I'm going to see if I can get these images in here. Yeah. Where did these come in from? What's the situation with these images that I'm just getting? It's going to take me a second to load them, but where'd they come from, and what are we going to be looking at here?
So just about 5 minutes after sort of we went live on air, I got my other laptop here going. I've got, it's coming in data from some of the Michelin Scott riders. So Damien Hausen, again, from the Michelin Scott team, fantastic group of guys, very willing to share their data.
Like
so this is his so this is the entirety of his stage. So you'll forgive me for
this is from today.
Not having
this is from today's Alpe d'Huez stage. Not just the Alpe d'Huez though. This is his whole stage.
Whole stage. Yeah. So we had anybody who's into TSS and understanding the training stress scores. He had 327 TSS. So that's what most people do in a normal training week if you do a hard week. So he's done that today. He's just done under 6 hours of a race. So there was 21 minutes neutralized. You'll see that neutralized, and then that was 5 hours 47 minutes, 171 k's. I think today they had let me see the meters climbed. So it was 4,831 meters according to Damien Housen's according to his computer. So just under 5,000 meters of climbing. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So that's his whole stage there today.
What was the TSS on it again? You said, hold on a second, it's right in here.
327. 327.
So 327 TSS on the day. Here we go. I can actually take a look at the first kick. Was he in the break? It looks like there was a super high intensity. Right from the really get-go from him, actually.
Yeah, and I don't think he was in the break. I think he was just in the peloton. And again, this comes back to basically our workout today, and a lot of what we have seen is in how hard they go from the start. Certainly on the start of the climbs. Again, if we look at Mikel Nieves' ride yesterday, whenever he attacked to get away all day, again, he was real top heavy in that. So I think he done that. That bottom section. He done his peak 20 minutes for the day from the start. So 361 watts for his peak 20 minute, which was on the very start of that climb. 5.4 watts per kilo for his peak 20 minute, right off the bat. So what he did for the first 20 minutes of today's stage is pretty similar to what Mikel Nieve did in the last 40 minutes of yesterday's stage. So that puts it in perspective. So Mikel Nieve, an absolute, machine of a climber, he's able to do 5.5 watts per kilo at the end of a stage, trying to go for the win. Damien Housen, the start goes to show how hard these guys were going at the start. He was riding at 5.4, 5.5 watts per kilo at the start, and I think there was a lot of aggression from the gun today. We've seen a big group going, a big group of favorites. Maybe Damien was in it. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Like I say, we've just got the file through, and maybe somebody will correct us who potentially knows. I know he did finish about 27 odd minutes down in the big gruppetto. So the part that he played during the stage as well, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it was certainly a very hard day for him, and very hard day for everybody basically. So yeah, it was a big day. It was certainly a big day. Mm-hmm.
We are seeing, thanks a lot, Andy Harrison, coming in with a little chatter in there, letting us know where we can find more information on Vincenzo Nibali's transport over to the hospital. We'll have to see if he does show back up for the stage tomorrow, actually. So we are seeing riders, though. They are taking their next. We did just get a update on the latest. So 240. Now we've really dropped off the effort here. Is this because of how much we've done up front, and what happened with Tendam? Actually, that's the question I think a lot of riders might have here on this day.
Yeah. I think two things. One is I think on that stage he had spent a lot of day in the break, and at this point he was starting to, I suppose, blow fumes. But also at the top of the Alpe d'Huez, it actually, the gradient eases off quite a bit as well. So if you look at that the snapshot that you have of the climb, you'll see that the percentage does go down quite a bit at the top compared to that sort of middle section. So for that reason, again, we're trying to obviously bring the power down, and the fact that you've also been now 30 minutes, between 95 and 103% of your threshold, we're going to get another 10 minutes. But again, riding at 78 RPM or around that sort of 70 to 80 RPM might be a little bit of a discomfort to a lot of people compared to those guys and girls that are maybe wanting to spin a wee bit more. So we're trying to obviously bring down a wee bit of muscle fatigue as well as aerobic fatigue with that sort of this sort of effort. So.
Yeah, it's a full-on effort. I mean, over threshold to start and then just hanging on all the way through. You're essentially getting almost your 1 hour of power in on this workout here today.
Yeah.
So, and with the riders, a lot of these riders already completing, some of the riders who have already completed so many of the stages here, going to have some fatigue in the legs. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Alpe d'Huez Zwift, we are out on it right now. This is a replication of the a virtual replication of the Alpe d'Huez in the game. You can actually see each one of the passes on the right-hand side of the course here. If we were not in workout mode, we would actually be able to also see your time for each one of the passes too. So as you get through each number, you're able each number on the turns, switchbacks on the way up, you get to see what your personal best time is on the left hand side of the screen, and then you're also able to see what your last time was. It's a pretty cool thing. You can race it. There's also a race for a couple of power-ups on the way up to kind of motivate you. I've done this climb I think 27 times actually. There's some achievements in game, and it was interesting to me today watching the Tour de France, and I was like, oh, the Alpe d'Huez is so cool. I really like it. And there was a new appreciation, though, and recognition of the effort that was taking place from the riders on each corner, because I knew the corners, and I didn't think about that actually when I was riding this course a bunch, trying to get the masochist achievement. There's a masochist achievement in game. You ride it 25 times and you get that achievement in game. It's a cool little badge you have on your achievements page, and I was after that, right? And I wasn't thinking about that when I was watching the Tour de France this year, I would have any recognition of what each corner was, but I knew the gradient. I could feel, because I have a smart trainer, I felt this gradient. I knew kind of like at an all-out effort what was being expected of the athletes at each one of those moments, and what those moments felt like in a new way. It was really cool change to my experience of watching the Tour de France today. I definitely had a much more personal experience with it. Now, nothing like what you had from living in France and doing this climb multiple times locally, but as far as a workout simulation, it definitely gave a new appreciation in a way that you at least got an idea of what the effort was on each section.
Absolutely. And with this sort of technology that we're seeing, and, thanks to Zwift and, this sort of replication of the effort and visually being able to do it. And again, with the enhancement of technology, with the smart trainers, this sort of replication of effort that we're able to do now in modern day really does help us towards people going for the Marmot, or going for a big Grand Fondo in the Alps, or European, or even in the States. We see a lot of obviously the Grand Fondos there in Colorado and whatnot, and not only are we training ourselves to a certain extent of the intensities, but again visually as well, you're able to as well as we can do. 99% of people, we can't go to these places week after week, or maybe we don't live in an environment like that has this sort of long climbs. And with this sort of technology, I know a lot of riders, it's very popular again amongst the professional peloton, the people that are using this sort of technology. So you certainly shouldn't underestimate the benefits, of being able to ride this consistently, and then being able to relate it in real time, when and if you do go to these sorts of places. So, and I think the beauty of doing something like we're doing today, obviously being able to see the others that are around you, and you do have appreciation, as you did today, watching it live on television. But again, I think if you are to go to Alpe d'Huez, which I'm hoping you will do someday, and the fact that 26 times virtually and one time in real life, that you'll
would be nice.
You'll understand. Yeah, but you're going to have a lot more insight into that climb, and physically a lot better ability than what you would have had if you weren't able to use this technology. So.
Look at these guys. They're chatting. Aaron Locks, No Legs Thursday, and Cycling Idiot is in there, like not even able to type any words that are legible in any way whatsoever. Yeah. But speaking of that experience I had today, it gave me also a new appreciation of the course that's going to be launched soon for the World Championships. We did Richmond. course we've had obviously for a couple of years
Yeah.
from the World Championships, and now Innsbruck is on its way. And I had
Yeah.
rumor that some of the pros aren't going to be able to be there as soon as they would like to, and they're going to use the Innsbruck course for time trialing and figuring out what their times should be like, what their power should be like, what the different undulations are going to be like on the course. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me, especially actually after watching and doing this climb over and over again. I'm like, wow, there's an ideal out there of it, and then there's the experience of it and actually seeing it in the works, like the pragmatic, like, does this actually work? And it was definitely revealing to me, and I'm interested to see how that plays out with Innsbruck when they do launch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Innsbruck is, well, one race that I'm totally looking forward to. So much to the fact that I'm I'm going to be in the roadside somewhere, and it's going to be an absolute fantastic race. And I do know that there's a certain amount of people, or quite a lot of people, that are juniors, under 23s, the elite women that are participating there. They don't have the finances like the professional men to actually go and recce the course in real time before it. And again, there's people that I know that are hopefully going to it, and they're going to be using this the actual Zwift course to be able to again visualize it. And again, don't underestimate how important.
So as a coach, you're going to be encouraging people to get on the program and like, look, go check out the course here. This is one of the best ways to do your reconnaissance if you can't get there.
Absolutely. And you can put it into time frames. It's not if you understand how maybe the races are going to go, you can preempt the intensities. You can preempt, of course, we don't have a magic ball and say this is exactly how the race is going to go. But a lot of times you can sort of understand maybe the intensities, what it's going to go at. So, you can build that into these, into the course. You can build it into the workout and try and, again, replicate what is going to happen on race day. So your bodies are adjusted, your mind is adjusted. Visually as well, you're getting you're getting an impact of what's happening in the race. So it's just a great tool, and I think it's going to be used a lot by certainly a lot of guys in South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, that just don't have the facility as well to travel to these sorts of places. So we'll definitely be encouraging our athletes to use it. I can guarantee that. So.
We are getting another comment coming from Andy Harrison. Actually says he's done this climb in real life and on Zwift, and it's amazingly similar, even my time. So, interesting. So similar on times as well for getting up and over the top of the climb up the West. So, and the up the Zwift. Yeah. So we've got a minute left. Final push to the line. Now there isn't any kick. It looks like Lauren's just didn't pedal soft. It doesn't look like soft pedaling, but it was like, I just need to get across the line. We're not going to kick here or anything. It's just going to be, a slightly, just to keep it steady and get that stage finished. But it's still a low RPM though, 78 RPM. Yeah. And that was something you focused in on a lot for some of these workouts when it comes to these climbs. You want to chat a little bit about the importance of the torque work that we've been doing in this coaching?
Yeah, so we're obviously trying to understand the demands of certain parts of the race. If we look at the climbs that they've gone over, like the Mur de Bretagne, and even that day in Quimper, and even the cobble sections, we had a real hard day. Anybody that was there on Sunday, the cobble workout that we did, that was really intense as well. But what was intense about it wasn't so much the changes in intensity, which of course was quite hard, but it was us going, changing our torque, changing our cadence. We're going down to, maybe 65, 70 RPM, and then we're coming out of the cobble section, we're on the tarmac road, we've got to back up to, we're sprinting out onto the tarmac sections at, 110 RPM out of the saddle effort. And that is what is difficult in real life racing. It's also difficult here in racing on Zwift. So we're trying to get people to understand the ability to change from one torque to the next, how that can affect you, and why it's important to improve. So, a lot of our workouts, and we've got a lot of feedback again from people saying that, it was the cadences that was killing them, not so much the actual intensity. And, as coaches, we obviously work a lot on that with our athletes, and particularly climbing. Climbing is, again, a way of changing the percentages and gradients and whatnot. And different climbs suit different people. And a lot of times it's not so much the intensity, their actual aerobic fitness, that is the thing that's letting them down. It's their ability to change their torque. It's their ability to change from one cadence to the next. So we've been doing a lot of that over the last 12 days, and we will be doing more of it. So, but I'm just actually looking here on Alpduez. Today's file, forgive me, I've just got it up, is Damien Housen. He did the last climb in almost 1 hour exactly. So
really?
This is the Gruppetto going up. Yeah, so he was 1 hour exactly. He was at 3.84 watts per kilo, 256 watts. Them guys were just, they just wanted to get to the finish basically. So,
I think I have the final climb here. Let me see. So this would be the file. I don't think I have it nice and pretty or anything, but this is. Would this be it then?
It says. Yep, that's it. That's it. So. That's the final climb up to.
This is the Gruppetto. So this is what the just get across the line was up to. And what is the Gruppetto doing? What did you say? 4.5 or 4.0?
He done 3.84. So I suspect that a lot of it that was me, very roughly cutting it down. I would say the majority of the time was spent in around sort of 4 watts per kilo. So anybody who thinks that riding in the Gruppetto is easy, that these guys aren't great climbers, believe me, a lot of guys in that Gruppetto on their day are good climbers. But he still needs to ride at 4 watts per kilo after 5.5 hours of riding a bike for 1 hour. So, that's not easy. Even though they a lot of times make it look easy, again, for mere mortals, for those people that are, good recreational or good elite cyclists, that's still a bit cold. So again, that puts it into perspective just how hard them guys have been going over the 3 days. That was 3 really hard days in the Alps. So and a 300 and something.
It's a testament to how hard it's been with how many have been dropping out. I mean, it's every there's some chatter today from a lot of the commentary. Are we going to have any sprinters left by the end of by the end of the tour? I mean, or who's going to be sprinting on the final day in Paris? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up playing out here.
It is. I mean, I put a lot of it down to certainly the amount of fatigue that guys have. Where one would be down to the heat. If you see the heat that was starting in Western France whenever they started, again, it has a big influence in the riders' recovery, being able to get through. They've been day after day after day, at 28, 30 degrees. Normally the guys in the top of France, the start of the race, they're hoping that it's going to be a bit cooler because as you head south, obviously it gets a bit warmer. They didn't have any of that this year. So it's been really warm from day one. Also, they've hit the mountains later, so normally they would hit them in the first weekend of the tour. Traditionally would have been, a lot of times, they'll hit on the Saturday, the Sunday, the first weekend.
A lot fresher.
They're a lot fresher, including not just for the GC guys, but also for the sprinters. They're hitting the climbs a lot fresher. What we have seen this year is that we didn't hit the first climb until stage 10. Yeah, stage 10. So they had 9 stages in their legs before hitting the first stage. And they had a cobble stage, before a rest day. So that cobble stage normally would take anybody 3 or 4 days to recover from. They had 1 day where they had to fly to the middle of France. Then they had a bit of a, easy spin, and then they had to do a big mountain stage. So nobody recovered from that. So
3 mountain stages in a row. I mean,
3 mountain stages in a row. And
after the cobbles. So it was essentially like one of the hardest days in the tour, followed up by 3 mountain stages. It's absolutely insane. Looking through here now, look. This is 118 TSS. This is a no joke effort. This is a insane effort that we're looking at here. This is the cool ride report that you get after your ride. If I were to actually do this ride, I would have averaged 262 watts. I'd be right around probably 4.0 watts per kilogram, a little less than 4.0, 3.5 to 4.0 for the duration, and would have burned 1,200 calories. Instead, I sat here and just chatted into a microphone. But the rest of the riders, though, seem to have gotten it done pretty well. I wonder how many are going to make it to the top still. If you do want to ride the Alpe de Zwift and do your virtual Alpe d'Huez, you can do so. There's a couple different ways to get over to the Alpe d'Huez. The fastest way is to do the jungle circuit, because that loads you in closer to the Alpe d'Huez, and then you just make sure you turn right when it gets near the place. Now, you do need to be level 10 or higher, but if you do join an event that is heading to the Alpe d'Huez, then you will get in no matter what. There are some other events going on today, I think, with the SAS Tour as well, Tour de Az, that is doing the Alpe d'Huez today. So if you do want to jump into that, you can do so. There is also, obviously, Road to Sky is the route that we did today that you watched us do. It looks like some of the riders are going to complete their Alpe d'Huez or Alpe de Zwift today, as some of them are continuing on to the top. Going to be a long day in the saddle. I mean, they got a lot more days. I wonder if Locks and a few of these others are going to continue on. I mean, that's a pretty big day.
Yeah.
Now let's do our predictions real quick here. We've kind of been holding off on that, and usually we do those during the cool down. Let's take a look at tomorrow's stage. So this is stage 13. What would you call this stage? It doesn't look like completely flat. It's interesting. I mean, is it completely flat? I mean, what's the situation here?
Well, normally, I would say it's going to be a Sprinters Day, purely because the Cat 3 climb is so early that, a lot of times it normally would come back together, and the Cat 4, being quite short again, still another 50, 60 Ks to the finish, I would normally say it would be a Sprinters Day, but now I would probably say it's going to be the breakaway. The win is going to come from a breakaway. Probably 6 guys, 8 guys going. You watch the start of tomorrow's stage, and you will see a lot of people trying to get into that early breakaway, because people know that it might succeed, purely because the sprinters teams, because of the lack of sprinters in the race, they're not going to be able to, or not going to want to sit and, pull as much in the front. So, the likelihood of a breakaway staying away, I would go for tomorrow, Thomas de Gendt. I mean, if there's one person you're going to pick that normally wins from a breakaway, it's Thomas de Gendt. And so that's if he's still in the race.
He's been crazy strong. He's been taking the risks. So without the sprinters there, and the team's not quite as motivated, maybe. I mean, there's also the reality of like some teams being able to shine, perhaps, that haven't been able to do so with their sprinters, because a few of the heavy hitters are obviously out at this point. So,
that's right.
Chat, let us know who you think is going to be the winner, though, on tomorrow's stage. And if you do get it right, we'll give you a shout out over on Twitter. We want to make sure that we give credit where it is due for the Dig Deep Coaching predictions. We'll be live again tomorrow on Zwift Community Live for tomorrow's stage, and you can jump into tomorrow's stage 13. And what are we looking at for a workout to produce the ride into balance?
Oh, so that's a good question. Let me take a look on tomorrow's ride. Tomorrow is Friday, of course. Let me see.
We are going to comment.
So tomorrow is
go ahead.
So tomorrow we're going to be a sprinter tomorrow. So it's completely the opposite of what we've done today. It's going to be a bit of a steady start. You'll be thankful to know we have a bit of an endurance riding at the start. The pace really ramps up during the stage. We're doing a lot of low torque, high cadence, high effort sprints just to hold our position. So lots of 10, 20, 30-second efforts. Then the last 3 kilometers, that last 3 minutes, pace is ramping up from threshold to VO2 to a real big explosion in that last kilometer. So very different to today. Anybody wants to work on their sprint workouts, certainly maybe a good day to come. And it'll be a place for us to chat about the tour as well and see if we've got our predictions right.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So sprint tomorrow. Make sure to join us for stage 13. We'll be live again on Zwift Community Live. You can find us obviously over on our Mixer channel. You can watch all the VODs over on our YouTube channel, videos on demand. If you did miss any of the videos coming from Zwift Community Live, and Stephen will be with us coaching live with you. We've been coaching Ken through it all, and he says, okay, coach, second best 2018 10 and 20-minute power. This is crazy. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. You know, these riders just keep getting stronger throughout it because, you know, if you recover well, you're still going to be able to build fitness even if you are getting day after day this kind of intensity as long as you got the base there.
Well done, Ken. Brilliant.
Yeah,
That's
job,
impressive, man. And especially on the back of you know, a real hard 12 days as well. I know Ken's been with us through the duration. It just goes to show he's obviously getting the right recovery. He's doing he's trying to get his everything right off the bike as well. So he's able to produce his second best 10 and 20-minute power of 2018. Top marks.
Pretty awesome. And all right, Stephen, we'll leave everybody with a nice shot of the top of the Alpe d'Huez or Alpe d'Huez Zwift. If you want to go and check it out, you can jump on into some of the other events that are celebrating the iconic stage, the most popular stage of the Tour de France, most iconic stage of the Tour de France that is going on for sure today. And Stephen, as always, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Yep, cheers. And so that was Dig Deep Coaching stage number 12. I'm Nathan Garrett coming at you from Zwift Community Live. And we want to say great job to all the riders out there. You want to check out the events, head on over to Zwift.com/events or jump into your companion app in order to join them. We'll see you tomorrow for stage number 13. As always, ride on.